Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So in this video, I want to teach you how to take your valve cover off your Jeep to paint it or to replace the gasket, whatever it is, on the 4-liter. So hope you enjoy. Alright, so the first step to doing this process is removing anything that might be in the way. In this case, it was the crankcase breather tube, which has the elbow attachment at the end, and it goes right here. You just twist it on like that, kind of the same way you do it with this. So that was the first thing I removed. Just undo the clamp there. The second thing I had to move was this thing. I don't really know what this is, but it goes to the back one, connects to an elbow back there, and then it goes into one of these two things, one of those two nipples there, and then the map sensor vacuum line that goes up to here. And I also, while I did that, I also disconnected the map sensor plug. And then of course you want to remove this from the valve cover itself. And then I also removed the upper radiator hose in order to get to some of the bolts back here. The second step to this process was removing all the bolts. In this case there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on this side, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on this side. But then there's one here on the front and then one on the back that you have to get to with a wrench. And I used the drill for the rest of them. But these are all going to be 11mm bolts. And then you should be free. Alright, so after wiggling it a little bit, I got it loose. But the thing is, this actually did get in the way a little bit more. So there's going to be 3 10mm bolts holding that in the way. So just kind of set that aside. And then obviously there's 2 of the bolts back here. 1, 2, and then the third one is right there. And they'll be mounting to that, and that holds all that together. Okay, so after more wiggling, I have it off now. This thing is disgusting. Looks like it has not been cared for very much, so it needs some TLC, and I'm willing to give it. Make sure you have some blue paper towels of any kind with you, because that is very helpful. And one tip, I do not like it when people use any form of silicone or anything for gaskets or anything like that, because that's apparently what's going on here. Because you have to scrape that crap up when you have to take it off and replace it, because mine was leaking really bad, and I have to go through and scrape that all up with a razor blade or some sort. But yeah, that's how you get it off. And then I will continue this when I get my gasket and spray paint, because I'm going to spray paint this thing green, neon green, kind of like similar to what my blades are, but the paint that I got last time turned out to be mostly John Deere green, so I might have to repaint it again, but it'll be cool. Just a side tip to help make it last a little longer, if you have to wait for your part to get here or it starts raining or something, like in my case it just did, go ahead and take advantage of these blue paper towels and stick it on top of the stuff while your valve cover is somewhere else, and then kind of reconnect all the hoses, just kind of set everything where they're supposed to be, unless it's able to just sit there like the map sensor or anything. But go ahead and just like plug these back up just in case, and especially back here, go ahead, I quadrupled the thickness of my paper towels, because if it starts raining, this does not seal very good, so water could fall in and ruin it. But go ahead and just do this and it'll help last. I also went ahead and wrapped up my like 20 something, I don't know how many there are, bolts in this one for the valve cover, and then I'll put my 3 other ones, my 3 10mm in the stuff right here, and I kind of set them down right there so that they don't get blown around and they know where they are. Alright guys, it's the next day. I had this all cleaned up. Looks so much better. It's ready to be painted. I'm not going to paint the inside obviously though, it would be really stupid. But all I did to clean this was I just put the wire wheel end on this here, and I put the drill battery inside, and I just went to town.
and I just kind of bolted the valve cover, and I bolted it to this piece of plywood right here, and I laid it down and then just scrubbed it away, as you can see. And then afterward, literally all I did was use hose water. I just used a whole bunch of hose water to rinse it off, and then that got it nice and clean, and it's pretty much prepped for some fluorescent green paint, and I cannot wait to do that. And if any of y'all are wondering why it's sitting on my car seat, it is because I need to fix the seat. There is a problem with the bracket behind it, on the bottom of it I mean, where if you look underneath it, this piece right here is supposed to be bolted to sheared off metal that you can see, like right there. You can see that it's broken if it'll focus. Yeah, and that was supposed to be bolted to it, so now it just kind of freely moves. You can see it's sheared off there too, so I'm just going to take this metal and I'm going to fabricate another bracket, because right now it sits a little bit to the right and it moves a lot, so I got to get that fixed as well. Alright, I've taught you how to take the valve cover off, but you can't forget the other side, because if you're going to replace this gasket, which you most likely will, because this thing goes bad super quick, you have to scrape off the old stuff. And in my case, it was a whole bunch of silicone seal, whatever it is. And so yeah, and the first thing you gotta do is obviously remove everything out of your way. Again, move that back over there. But then what I'm gonna try to do next is use these. I have a chisel that I made in my welding class. Works pretty good. Chips metal like it's supposed to. A screwdriver in order to get to those smaller places that this may not be able to. This is to help loosen up the rubber. And then I'm going to use the drill again as minimal as possible, because this thing will fling a whole bunch of particles of your gasket around, and that is going to suck to clean up in the future. So I recommend trying not to use this as much as possible, but if I need it, it will be here. And then I ran out of blue paper towels, so I just got the regular ones, and hopefully this will be all I need. And then all you gotta do is take your chisel or something and just go to town like that. And look, I already cleared up that little bit right there. Oh, can't even see it. I already cleared that up. That's pretty good. Alright, I'll cut y'all to the end. Guys, a chisel is perfect for this. Look at this. If I just push on it and I just force it all the way through, geez, it's hard to do with one hand, it literally just peels it off. Like, just erases it. And then all you gotta do is freshen it up with like sandpaper or something like that. But I'm telling you, chisel or screwdriver is perfect for this. Alright guys, it's been about 45 minutes, somewhere around that, and I have now scraped up the whole thing all the way around as best as I could. I used, as you saw, the chisel to scrape off the big chunks, which are now all there. All of it, that was very effective. And then I went ahead and used the blue paper towels that I just threw in the trash bin there. But I would spray some of this, just Walmart brand carburetor cleaner or brake cleaner, either one works. I just sprayed it on that and I wiped it down best I could. And I noticed that if the drill is spinning this way, you can put this side on it, because then it's flinging it that way. So that's what I did on the sides, and it's not perfect. As you can see, there are still some places where there's some goo, mostly in the places where I couldn't get the wire wheel, but this is plenty good enough for a mating surface to be nice and clean. So now all I gotta do is put the paper towels back on it, over top of it, and then I gotta wait a week or two for my parts to get here, and that will be when the video finishes, but for y'all it will be only a second. Alright guys, so we're out here with the plywood out in the grassy field so that no overspray gets on the concrete and everything. And I am on the second coat, waiting to put on the third one, just letting this one dry a little bit. I highly suggest you use the Duplicolor engine enamel, because this stuff is good, especially the fluorescent colors. It can go up to 500 degrees, which means you can spray paint just about everything on that engine. I think you could probably even spray paint the exhaust. But yeah, so far the results are looking nice, and I can't wait to put on the third coat. Okay guys, today's the day. After about a week of waiting, it is now painted and the gasket's underneath of it. Isn't she gorgeous? Just get a load of that perfect green. And you may notice while I'm installing this that there isn't a clutch fan. That would be because I'm painting it the same color off camera. But it has just rained and it kind of ruined it a little bit, so now I gotta dry it off. Luckily the paint was dry enough that it didn't like water up and flow down the sides of it, but we'll see what happens, because it still looks just as good. But here becomes the reinstallment. So first is first, make sure you've moved everything out of the way again like you were to begin with to take it off. And then the next thing you got to do is the gasket. To the box. Ooh, it's blue. Blue FEL-PRO. Metal core, rubber outside. It's all perfect. Alright, so the way you install this, you will see this says cover side. That means this side faces upward towards the valve cover. And in this case, this bolt matches this bolt right here. So you just literally take it, you set it around it, move it underneath all your hoses. Try not to bend it if possible, helps it seal a little better. And then you just line up the holes. Next, we put this on. So, forgot to do this earlier. Unplug the radiator hose. Put it back there or something, somewhere where it's not going to fling back and hit the valve cover. And then since I can't do it on camera because it's too hard to struggle with this thing right there, all you got to do is just obviously line up all the bolts with all the holes, all the holes on this to all the holes on this, and then slowly start tightening them. Alright guys, she's in. Don't be worried if it's harder to get in there. It took me about 45 seconds to finagle it in there, but eventually I got it. So now what you want to do is you want to hand tighten down all these little bolts just with your fingers using a 3x3 inch extension with an 11mm socket at the end, and just kind of hand tighten them down, get them all nice. And from right here, you're gonna have 3 that have those things on top of them. You just want to use an 11mm wrench for that, just because those were designed to hold some things that I fixed by using zip ties to hold the spark plugs in place, spark plug wires in place. Alright, so once you've gotten them all finger tight, you want to get them snug, and then about a 3/4 to a full turn more. I don't know the exact amount of foot-pounds you're supposed to do. I know it's a cast iron block, so it's, a cast iron head, so it should be pretty, it should be a lot of torque on them. But I'll leave that in the description once I look it up. And so yeah, the way you want to tighten them is you want to try to go from the center to the outward, like this, about this one here, then this one, and then like this one, and then that one, and then that one, and then this one, back and forth like that until you get the edge. Because what that does is it takes the weight, the pressure, and it spreads it out this way, so that it stretches it this way and stretches it that way, rather than compressing it towards each other. Because I've seen a lot of people just torque them randomly, and people, not this, because this is aluminum, but they've taken plates and they've cracked them right in the center because they tightened it in the wrong way. So yeah. Alright, so it's all the way back together. I've tightened them down in the star-shaped pattern just across like 25 bolts. Not 25, sorry, I think it was 15 bolts or something like that. Here's a tip. Every time, just keep cycling through them because they all become untight again as you start to mash down this rubber gasket. Because as you tighten it down, it mushes it down farther. And since that's one holding it down, the rest of it likes to pull down too, therefore loosening all the rest of the bolts. And so you just gotta keep cycling through until they're just snug. You don't want to tighten this thing down so hard that you're starting to strip it, because this gasket will start to like spread out and it won't be a gasket anymore. Plus you might strip the bolts. And now for the final step is you just take everything all and then put it all back together how it was supposed to be. Like the radiator hose goes there, that flips back over and reattaches there with the 3 10mm bolts I was talking about. And then it'd be best if you stud it up and let it heat up until it is at operating temperature, and see if you find any leaks. And if you don't, you're golden.
As you can see, it's running and there are no leaks. I can't run it for too long though because it doesn't have a fan in there, but there are 0 leaks and I am very happy about that. Alright guys, that is how you take the valve cover off, replace the gasket, paint it, put it all back together. Hope you enjoyed. Like, subscribe, share to a friend if you need them to know how to do this. Thanks for watching. Follow me on Instagram. It'll be at the bottom of the screen. And hope you'll have a nice day. See you guys.